A decades-old cold case in Arizona has now been solved. A 13-year-old girl who disappeared nearly 32 years ago has been found alive. The Gila County Sheriff's Office says she had, quote, vanished without a trace from her community.
Missing children cases usually bring to mind grainy flyers, worried families, and questions that seem to harden with time. Christina "Tina" Plante's story looked like one of those mysteries. In 1994, she was a 13-year-old girl in Star Valley, Arizona, who reportedly left for a nearby horse stable and never came back. For years, the assumption was dark and simple. Maybe someone had taken her. Then, more than 3 decades later, authorities said Tina was alive, grown, living under another name, and carrying a life that no longer belonged to the missing poster. Before we start, drop a comment and tell us what you think is harder, a family never knowing what happened or someone being found and still choosing to keep the past closed. Because this is not just a story about a missing girl being found, it's the story of a child who vanished, survived, and built a whole new life. The walk to the stable.
Christina Plante disappeared from what is now Star Valley back in 1994. Back then, it was part of the town of Payson. She was 13 at the time. There had been extensive searches for her over the years, but the Gila County Sheriff's Office says that she was just recently found.
On May 15, 1994, Tina Plante was last seen in Star Valley, a small Arizona community near Payson. She was 13, with blue eyes and dark blonde hair, and she was reportedly walking to a stable where her horse was kept. That detail became one of the most memorable parts of the case. A child leaving to see a horse sounds ordinary, almost peaceful. But when Tina did not return, the ordinary turned frightening very quickly. Her disappearance was treated as suspicious. Flyers described her clothing, her age, and the fact that she had vanished on foot. Searchers looked for clues. Investigators followed what they could, but the case offered very little. At the time, there were hints that Tina had talked about running away. Still, people who knew her reportedly doubted she would leave behind her horse and her brother. That uncertainty helped keep the case stuck between 2 possibilities: runaway or abduction. The search goes cold.
Surveillance cameras to cell phone technology, none of those were that prevalent or even used. Cell phones, especially the cell phone analysis, wasn't even used in 1994.
The search involved local law enforcement, volunteers, and regional help. Missing person flyers were spread, and Tina's name was entered into national missing children databases. Her family also offered a reward for information, but the leads did not grow into answers. There was no public discovery, no clear sighting that resolved everything, and no confirmed explanation that satisfied the record. Over the years, the case became one of those files that never fully disappeared. Investigators revisited it from time to time. New eyes looked at old details. Still, Tina remained officially missing. And that official status mattered. Even if some people suspected she had left voluntarily, there was no verified ending. Without confirmation that she was alive, safe, and truly Christina Plante, the case could not simply be put away. A different story emerges.
What was the why? Why'd she run away?
Well, I guess she wasn't happy with where she was living and who she was living with, and she ran away. And I was dumbfounded. I was like, oh my gosh, okay, so you ran away. I told her, I said, we were under the impression that somebody kidnapped you. It was deemed a criminal offense.
When authorities finally announced in 2026 that Tina had been located alive, the headline sounded almost unbelievable. A girl missing since the Clinton administration had been found as a grown woman. But the next layer changed the emotional shape of the story. Investigators said she had not been kidnapped. She had left voluntarily, and relatives may have helped her go. Captain Jamie Garrett, the cold case investigator who contacted her, said she was stunned by that revelation. The case had long been carried as a possible criminal disappearance. Now the woman at the center of it was saying she had run away. A former deputy who worked the original case later said the situation involved a custody battle. According to that account, Tina wanted to live with her mother rather than remain where she was, and her departure may have been understood by some investigators much earlier than the public record suggested. The old life.
She said that was a long time ago. That was an old life. She's now, since, like you said, she's 44 years old. She's in her adult life. She has her family now. That's not something she even thinks about.
By the time investigators reached Tina, she was no longer the child from the flyer. She was an adult using another name with her own family and a life built far from the missing person's story. Her response was not the dramatic reunion people might expect from television. According to investigators, she described that period as an old life, She had moved forward, and the past was not something she wanted to revisit. That part can be hard to process. The public often wants a clean ending, a tearful explanation, and every missing year filled in. But real people don't always owe the world that kind of closure. Authorities have released only limited information, citing her privacy and well-being. They confirmed her identity and resolved her missing status, but they've not turned her adult life into public property. The case closes.
Do you know if there's other family members looking for her that want a resolution?
No, I don't think so, because the way she made it sound is she was with an undisclosed family member that she left with.
Okay. And again, nothing in your investigation determined that there was a crime or that give you an indication why she would have left?
No, other than she really wasn't happy where she was at.
The Gila County Sheriff's Office credited a cold case unit, modern investigative tools, and a renewed review for the breakthrough. After decades of silence, technology helped connect the old file to the living woman behind it. There are still unanswered questions: exactly where Tina went, how her life unfolded, and what every adult around her knew in 1994 have not been fully laid out publicly. There's also tension between the official closure and the older claims that law enforcement had suspected a custody-related departure from the beginning. That doesn't erase the decades of uncertainty. It shows how messy these cases can become when family conflict, privacy, and incomplete verification all collide. In the end, Tina Plante's case did not end the way many feared. She was alive. She had grown up. She had a family. And after 32 years, a missing child was no longer missing, even if the woman she became chose to leave much of the story behind. Now it's time to hear from you. Do you think Tina's privacy should be protected completely now that she's been found? Or does the public deserve more answers? Let us know in the comments section below.